There are two ways to finish this poem, just two. I tap out the end, but I can't, thanks to you. You think this ends here? You're about to get burned. This story's not done till the lesson is learned.
Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here. That's right, boys and burros, we're diving into another superhero show, one that quite a few of you have been asking for. Today we're taking a look at Danny Phantom, specifically the episode The Fright Before Christmas, because we're in the month where red and green outweigh everything else in our day-to-day lives. You all know the drill. New show means I'm supposed to give context, but if I'm being honest, I'm pretty confident that virtually everyone watching this video has a good grasp of what Danny Phantom is, so really a recap of things would mostly just be a waste of time. Young Daniel Fenton was somewhere between 13 and 15, I forget exactly what age, when his scientist parents, Jack and Maddie, invented a very bizarre contraption that was specifically designed to look at a normally undetectable world. When it failed their first time using it, the Fenton parents kinda gave up, but Daniel, at the request of his friend Sam, decided to take a gander inside. After a bright light, everything was different and Daniel's molecules got reshuffled. He awakened to find that he now had bleached blonde hair and luminescent emerald eyes. He could phase through things, go invisible, take flight, extremely apparent that he was now very different from other young men. It was at this moment that he realized what he needed to get done. He had to use his new powers to deter all the ghosts that were entering through his parents' new contraption. He's here to fight presumably for me and yourself. He's gonna catch them all because he's Daniel Phantom. Also, he has a best friend named Tucker who saw the incident and a sister named Jazz who discovered his secret shortly after. Okay, this is a popular superhero show from the 2000s. Odds are, if I've seen it, I'm gonna be a fan of it, which I am, but I gotta get something off my chest. I never liked the name Danny Phantom. Don't get me wrong, it rolls off the tongue well, but it just doesn't seem like a superhero name. Shoot, the joke name Invisible was definitely not a winner, but even it screams superhero more than Danny Phantom. Why not call him Kid Phantom or even just the Phantom? Oh, that's why. Not gonna lie though, I absolutely love Danny's logo. That was a great addition. Alright, let's get to the actual review. The episode starts at Amity Park Mall where our usual trio of friends are hanging out.
Merry Christmas! Happy holidays!
Merry Christmas!
Sam Manson.
Yes, as some of you intellectuals are aware, I dislike Sam with great intensity. Exactly how much intensity? I prefer John Redcorn. Yeah, that bad. Maybe one day I'll be able to go into more detail as to why, but it shan't be today because Sam doesn't do anything worth ranting about in this specific episode. In fact, as the characters point out, she's uncharacteristically cheery.
Merry Christmas, Mikey.
You are being cheery? It's a trap!
What's with him?
What's with you?
This is because the episode wants to teach Danny a lesson about not being a Grinch, and that lesson is harder to do if there are other characters who don't have the holiday spirit. So despite that it would be very much in character for Sam to hate Christmas, she does it for the sake of the plot, and she's not the only one whom this will apply to.
Hey there, miss. How's about spreading a little Christmas cheer?
Ooh, Tucker, the joke surrounding you did not age well. At least he's asking for consent this time.
I hate the holidays!
How can anybody hate this time of year? I don't even celebrate it, and I love it.
For the record, that's a lie. Sam doesn't celebrate Christmas, but she does celebrate Hanukkah, which is a part of the holidays and this time of year.
That's right. You don't know about the fight.
The fight?
I've always been confused on exactly when these three met. This conversation gives off the vibe that Sam has known Danny for less than a year, while Tucker has known him significantly longer. But in an earlier episode, Danny mentions an interaction that Sam and Tucker had years ago.
It's me, Danny!
Prove it.
In second grade, Tucker threw up in your lunchbox, but he told you Ricky Marsh did it.
What?
And to add to the confusion, it wasn't until recently that Sam felt comfortable around Danny and Tucker to invite them over to her place.
Mega movie marathon at my place.
Your place? Wow, you never invited us to your place before.
That's because we're usually fighting ghosts with you.
I mean, none of this is contradictory, but I feel like it'd be way less complicated if the lore was simply all three of these guys have been friends since early childhood or met within the last year instead of some combination of the two. We pan over slightly to the left to see Maddie and Jack arguing about the existence of Santa, revealing that this is the reason Danny is in such a sour mood. Danny lets his friends know that he's headed to the ghost zone to let out some frustration. In said ghost zone, we see a ghost, one new to the show, working on some literature.
And it's done! My first Christmas poem ever.
Ah, crap, he found me! Begone, foul spirit! I left BoJack Horseman behind. You can't make me go back! Nearby, Danny is blasting some Christmas items out of frustration and, in the heat of the moment, accidentally destroys the literature ghost poem.
Sorry, man. It was a total accident.
Ah, that really sucks. But with that, we have an established motive for our villain. Danny was being reckless and accidentally hurt someone. Even though Danny did apologize, this new ghost as a character now has all the motivation he needs to want to hurt Danny.
You've destroyed my greatest work!
The Fright Before Christmas. I destroyed a Christmas poem? Awesome!
Nani?
Dude, I am sick of Christmas. I came to the Ghost Zone to get away from it.
Danny, my boy, what are you doing?
I might not have meant to destroy your stupid book, but that doesn't mean I'm not okay with it.
Oh goodness, Danny, what? Are you aware that you narratively just turned yourself into a villain? Ugh, the thing is, this isn't even out of character for Danny. He's, not surprisingly, a lot like Timmy Turner, where he'll just do bad things until circumstances force him to learn a lesson. I can't really be angry at the show for this. A selfish personality brings some realism, but man does it make me sympathize with the villain. I'm now rooting for the wrong person.
Scrooge-like urchin.
And you are...
Yeah, Danny, Ghost, remember? Those stupidly powerful beings capable of breaking the laws of physics in very dangerous ways?
The Ghost Rider!
Wait a second. Ghost Rider. Oh, I get it.
Every word I type on this keyboard becomes real.
I'm sorry, what? You can just change reality by typing things? That makes you even more broken than Desiree. Also, what's stopping you from just typing that your poem got fixed?
Yet one soul was dark.
Hey, that voice. It's that ghost whose book I destroyed. Wait, I'm trapped in his poem? Now I'm really annoyed.
Rhyming! I love me some rhyming. Maybe, to spice up this review, I should rhyme along with them too. Nah, that's for people who aren't lazy, but since we're talking about rhyming...
Young Danny Phantom was just 14 when his parents built a very strange machine.
Huh, weird. Deja vu. Yep, this is the famous Danny Phantom intro, the only rap intro that is universally agreed upon to be of quality. Though personally, I think One Piece's is a good song, even if it has the absolute wrong tone for the show. I pretty much agree with everyone that this is a 10 out of 10 intro. It does exactly what it's supposed to, get you introduced and hyped for the show you're about to watch. The entire thing is Danny's origin, which means every episode will give you the majority of the context you need once you watch this. One could make the argument that Sam and Tucker should have been integrated somewhere since they're such staples of the show, but I wouldn't. We also get a title card, which is another staple of the show. I love these, but I don't have much to say about them. They're cool and, like the intro, help you to get hyped for what's to come. The episode continues and the Ghost Rider demonstrates to Danny that everything is now in his control, including everyone's emotions and free will. The Ghost Rider wants Danny to learn his lesson, so while Danny is forced to rhyme like everyone else, he gets to keep his autonomy. I feel like the intended lesson might be a bit hollow if everyone but Danny is being mind controlled.
When you lash out at others, there's enmity earned. You're stuck in this poem till your lesson is learned.
And I feel all the sympathy for the Ghost Rider and none for Danny. I really hope that was your goal, show. Danny tries to warn Tucker and Sam about the Ghost Rider, but they don't believe him. While it wouldn't be abnormal for characters in this show to be irrational just for the sake of the plot, this time around it actually makes sense.
But Tucker and Sam merely shrugged in confusion, completely convinced of my ghostly illusion.
Tucker gives Sam some backstory on Danny's hatred of Christmas, again hinting that he's known Danny longer.
Caught up in their rift on that jolly old fellow, they didn't see Danny's white Christmas turned yellow.
No, that is not okay. Calm down, Shady, calm down. This is typical Butch Hartman humor where someone does something completely unforgivable, but the show just shrugs it off like it's a regular bad deed. It's why Tucker is the way he is. This is a cartoon that doesn't take itself too seriously, and thus it would be unfair if we took it too seriously. As long as the show recognizes that the actions are bad, it's fine. Danny's Christmases are constantly ruined by his parents arguing, and this year is no exception as their yelling startles the nearby reindeer.
And just because this would annoy him the most, I decided to make every reindeer a ghost.
So what you're saying is, you killed them. Actually, ghosts in this show were retconned from spirits to be. Danny says one of the best battle cries ever created.
I'm going ghost!
Transforms and begins fighting off the reindeer. Excuse me, Mr. Ghost Rider, I was on your side before, but you're no longer just punishing Danny. There are a lot of bystanders getting hurt here. That means you're doing what Danny did to you earlier, taking your frustration out on others, but like 1,000 times worse.
On Spooky, on Spectre, on Deathhoof, on Thrasher, on Maimer and Vicious, Blood Antlers and Slasher.
Those reindeer were right next to Danny's parents. The ghost hunters. What are they doing right now?
Then the reindeer escaped, having torn up the mall, leaving Danny, yes, Danny, the blame for it all.
I mean, that sucks, but Danny, this is not your first rodeo. You've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. Multiple times. Later at his house, as the poem goes on and the Fenton parents continue to argue, Danny finally hits his limit.
I can't take any more of this war, am I clear? 14 years is enough. I am so out of here.
Honestly, that's valid, Danny. It's very unfair to you that your Christmas is sabotaged each year by your parents' negligence. Though, in order to be consistent, I do have to mention that based off of your parents' responses, this seems to be the first time you've brought this up to them.
What got into him?
He takes after his mother.
Yes, these two are awful for what they've done, but as I've said many times, it's your responsibility to bring up when the actions of someone else are bothering you. So Danny, while you are right to be angry, you shouldn't blow up at your parents when you never told them how you felt previously.
Can't blame you for losing your cool, little brother. Go ahead, clear your head, and I think you'll be fine.
Well, hello, Jazz, the best character in the show.
That's a fact.
And my, you're being supportive of Danny. How very in character of you. Danny flies away, but the ghostwriter has the town's gifts follow him. This makes everyone think that the ghost boy is trying to steal Christmas. Oh, now they show up. How plot convenient.
This curse will stay on me from my town to Rome, but he can't Christmas me in a non-Christmas home.
I mean, it's worth a shot, Danny, but you can fly. You didn't have to jump to that conclusion. The idea fails as Danny goes to Sam's place, but learns that he's still trapped in the story. Sam decides to remind everyone of how she's supposed to be acting.
So I typed on my keyboard that the blame was on Danny.
You did this?
Again, I'm not allowed to rant about Sam because she's currently being mind-controlled, but man, do I wanna! During the argument, the ghostwriter decides to attack Danny with a bunch of toys, and they all fuse together to become one giant threat. Jeez, if I had a nickel.
Nuts!
Danny cried as he started to run. Must we end every scene with a terrible pun?
Yes! It is mandatory. So Danny fights the Nutcracker, learning that his ghost ray can easily take it apart. Danny.
You think this can stop me, this bear or this train?
Danny, maybe don't.
I'll just fire away till no pieces remain.
Okay, I see where this is going. Danny successfully stops the giant threat, but turns to see that his friends and family are upset that he defended himself. The whole town turns on Danny, again, except for one kid. And instead of just taking control of his mind, the ghostwriter tries shifting his attitude by attacking again. Loving the abundance of action scenes, and none of them have felt intrusive so far.
Siren is wailing. The ghost tree's attacking. Lock up your homes. I suggest you start packing.
Wait, should people lock up their homes or pack up and leave? Those are contradictory. Do you want them to lock up after they pack up and leave? Why would they do that during a ghost attack when locking up homes is viable? Wait a second, it's not! Ghosts can phase through walls!
Christmas is ruined, and you're not the cause.
I sure hope the ghost shield won't stop Santa Claus.
Why is Maddie wearing a jacket inside? She was just outside without one and she seemed fine.
Hold down the fort, Jack. I'll go after our tot. Those trees will not stop me.
Oh man, that is hot.
Agreed. Danny and Maddie both fight back against the trees, but struggle to get a leg up until Danny remembers that he has his ace in the hole.
If you hear me, just scream.
Yeah, with my ghostly wail.
I both love and hate the ghostly whale. On the one hand, it's a broken power done right. It's guaranteed to defeat pretty much any foe Danny is facing, but he can only use it once because it zaps all of his strength, leaving him completely helpless. On the other hand, it sounds dumb and has a dumb name. I get it, they were trying to keep with the ghost thing, but having it sound like moaning just doesn't work for me. Why not have a screeching sound like most characters who have a sonic attack? Wait, when did he get a jacket? He was not wearing that earlier.
Daddy, thank heavens! You had us all worried. When your dad saw the news, we stopped squabbling and hurried.
I think this is the show's attempt to demonstrate that the Fenton parents can put aside their Santa argument to take care of their children, but I've already seen them fail to do that on multiple occasions. Still, I can't act like this isn't a nice moment.
It's Christmas Eve, son. Home is where you should be. Let's get back to the house and I'll make you some tea.
Danny heads into the ghost zone to go after the writer, which he probably should have done immediately after the mall, but whatever. He approaches the ghost writer's dwelling, but the door switches at the last second. Does the ghost zone look familiar to anyone else? I feel like I've seen it somewhere before, or at least something very similar to it.
The door brought him where all his foes were assembled.
Eat, drink, and be merry.
Have some warm Christmas goose.
For surely you know of our annual truce.
We don't fight on Christmas.
One day of tranquility.
Come sundown tomorrow, We resume all hostility.
Careful having Ember and Spectra speak at the same time. We might start to notice some similarities. This seems about as good a time as any to point out that this episode is chock full of voice actors I recognize, which is normal for this show. Gray Griffin, Tara Strong, Will Arnett, etc. Yes, I see them. Yes, I appreciate them. No, we don't have time for me to make jokes about all of them.
The truce? It's still holding? I thought they'd suspend it. To beat on their foe.
Oh, this truce. We defended.
So remember how I said Sam wasn't the only one made to act out of character? Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna believe the ghost villains are willing to put aside their differences for Christmas. They can call it a ghost rule all they want, but some of these guys were literally put away for breaking ghost rules. That being said, I also kinda don't care, which I'll get into why later.
Every ghost holds this truce?
It's a rule.
Well, the ghostwriter broke it.
That is really uncool.
Yeah, Danny, don't mention how you destroyed his work and then goaded him. We'll just leave that detail out.
Crud! I have got to type faster.
How did y'all know where he was? He changed his location. Before Danny and the villains can do anything, the ghostwriter takes control yet again, forcing them to fight. Danny, however, finds the one thing that could put a pause in the poem.
Crud! Nothing rhymes with orange.
Yeah, nowadays most people can think of rhymes for orange. Door hinge is the most used suggestion, but if we ignore that little detail, this is actually a clever way to get through this situation. Breaking the rhyme scheme stops the story, but only briefly, so it doesn't completely solve the problem. And if you notice, it had to be Danny because he's the only one who got to keep his free will, while everyone else was just doing what the story told them to do. It is kind of a deus ex machina since we were never told rhyming is what kept the story going, but that's easily ignorable. Danny destroys the writer's keyboard and then immediately regrets his decision.
No!
Danny screamed.
I'm still talking in rhyme!
I would have forewarned you if given the time.
He starts monologuing.
So now you'll guide this story of the ghost who hates Christmas. Think you can do it, all mopey and listless?
If Danny wants the curse of the story to end, he has to learn his lesson. By the way, what exactly is the curse now that the ghostwriter is no longer in control? Is it just rhyming? Because that's not that bad. I mean, it can get a little maddening, but with no narrator, nothing is causing chaos in Danny's life.
With the keyboard all busted, the curse takes its toll. The story continues, but I have no control.
Those lights make me think that maybe the curse is making bad stuff happen to Danny regardless if there's a narrator or not, or maybe he's doomed to always ruin Christmas? I'm not sure, they never explain it. Danny mopes around for a bit, and with his friends no longer being mind controlled, they go to see what's wrong. Now that things have quieted down, Danny is able to take in all the destruction the story caused.
It's my fault, all my fault, what happened tonight. I spoke out in anger and acted in spite.
I mean, it's a bit harsh to say it's all your fault, Danny. What someone does isn't necessarily your responsibility just because you were the motivation. But regardless, I do think understanding how you played a part in something bad happening is a good path to go down. Suddenly, the damage that Danny caused begins to fix itself.
The box ghost shall conquer this holiday doom!
We just couldn't leave you to suffer in gloom.
Tomorrow you'll see what this baby can do. But all ghosts share the truce. Even half ghosts, like you.
This right here is why I don't care that the villains are acting out of character. Them all coming together and using their unique powers to help out their common foe is so heartwarming to me. It's exactly what you want to see during Christmas. And as unbelievable as it might be, it's not entirely unrealistic. Christmas has halted a literal war before. There are indeed those who have temporary changes of heart just because of the time of year. Wait, hold up, time out. Desiree can warp reality without the need of someone making a wish? Holy to dongos, she actually is the most broken ghost of them all. Wait, Danny, that's it. Wish yourself out of the story. So all the ghosts fix the Christmas of Amity Park and it's like nothing happened. There's only one house they can't fix because it has a ghost shield around it.
I'll take it from here.
Wait, now his jacket is gone, but he was wearing one earlier. Danny enters his home to make up with his family.
I know I've been kind of a jerk this whole night.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I know I've been kind of a jerk this whole night.
No, Danny, you did fly off the handle, but describing it as you being a jerk is very unfair to yourself when your parents were actively ruining Christmas for you and others.
Gee, thanks, little brother. I knew you'd come round.
Then again, Jazz is happy, so Danny, you must be doing something right.
We're all here together, not fighting some
ghost!
Oh, so I guess the reindeer are just stuck that way now. Okay.
That's the ghost who all evening was looting our Christmas from us.
Then it wasn't the ghost boy? Let's tear him apart.
How'd you get those?
Where is she keeping them?
And with that little tidbit, Danny is officially consequence-free of the Ghost Rider story. The only thing left is for him to learn his lesson.
Maybe this is the moral. In the same way my folks love their old Christmas quarrel.
Writers, you forgot to show us the part where Danny's parents love arguing about Santa. We were just shown it was a habit they fell into every year, not something they look forward to.
Everyone celebrates in the way of their choosing.
Yes, they do, but Danny, your parents weren't celebrating Christmas, they were just arguing during it. And even if this is how they celebrate, their arguing was not harmless, it continuously affected other people.
I was so busy whining, I started abusing the ones I loved most and I ruined their cheer.
No, Danny, what? That's not what happened. You abused one person this entire episode, and he wasn't a loved one. He was a complete stranger. The lesson should be try your best to spread cheer, or at the very least, don't spread misery even when you're miserable, because doing so doesn't help anyone and can even make your situation worse. Or there's some other variants you can throw in there, like making the best of a bad situation, or taking responsibility for the long-term effects of one bad action. It shouldn't be stopping yourself from abusing loved ones, because Danny never did that. It's what the Ghost Rider was trying to make everyone think Danny did. Wait, was Danny successfully gaslit into believing the Ghost Rider's rhetoric? Okay, benefit of the doubt, maybe the episode is referring to the scene where Danny angrily storms out of the house, but that's not Danny abusing his loved ones. Yeah, he could have handled the situation better, but all he was essentially doing was expressing his frustration to those that caused it. The episode ends with Danny completing the story by learning his lesson and the Ghost Rider now suffering in prison. All I'm gonna is look at that. He's happy that Danny learned his lesson. Show, what do you want me to feel for this character? Because now you're making me forget all the horrible stuff he did and I'm seeing him as a victim again. And that was the fright before Christmas. There's a lot wrong here. Characters don't act like they're supposed to, and when they do, it's frustrating to watch. Danny is forced to learn the complete wrong lesson, and his parents, who are the real people at fault here, aren't ever criticized for their behavior, except by Danny, who was told he is wrong for doing so. But with all that being said, I still like this episode for three main reasons. 1, nostalgia. In my rewatch of Danny Phantom as a whole, I've been noticing a lot of problems, but because of how much I loved this as a kid, I can't help but ignore them. I mean, I can acknowledge that they exist, but they don't affect my love for it. 2, the rhyming. I'm just a sucker for it. It's the Dr. Seuss child in me. He's a really big fan. And 3, surprise, surprise, Christmas. When the episode tries to do something heartwarming, it succeeds in evoking feelings from me. As out of character as it is, I absolutely love the part where the villains help Danny, and even the ending where he's learning his lesson has a warm feeling to it, despite it not making any sense. All in all, the episode definitely has its problems, and I'm very much aware of them, but the kid in me is too caught up in the superhero ghost fighting Christmassy goodness to really care about any of it. This has been Shady Doorags. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.